Hello, Europe, Liverpool, Australia, and the rest of the world. Welcome back to my little corner of the internet. And today we're going to talk about everything relating to Eurovision 2023. It's going to be a lot, so I put on my teacher mode and I have an itinerary. We're going to start with everything that's just like general thoughts about the production, the hosting, the postcards, all of that. Then we're going to move on to the semifinals and discuss specifically the non-qualifiers. Then we'll move on to the grand final performances and finally the results. All right, so strap in. It's going to be a bumpy ride. I'm representing my favorites. You can let me know in the comments below who you think that was. I'll give you a hint. There's 3 in here. Okay, so let's go. General thoughts. First of all, let's talk about the production itself. BBC turned it out. Well done. They spared no expense. Everything was so well done, well produced, well timed that I have nothing but awe and admiration. It's just incredible. The city of Liverpool seems to have really given 100% of itself towards the event. Obviously, I wasn't there. I'm literally on the other side of the planet. It was just so beautiful to see. And there was really a beautiful blend of UK and Ukrainian elements that I think the theme of United by Music was very, very evident and beautiful. The hosting was perfect. No notes at all. Alicia, Julia, and Hannah were phenomenal and just so smooth, so well rehearsed. It seemed so natural to them. There was hardly an awkward hiccup, barely a stutter. Julia going back and forth from English to Ukrainian so smoothly. It took me like I was on delay realizing what language she was speaking. It was stunning. I love that the outfits they were wearing kept representing like the Eurovision color scheme, which I'm actually not a big fan of, but in terms of what they were wearing, it was nice. And then a lot of the times you had the Ukrainian flag of the blue and yellow at the forefront. I thought that was really, really clever. I loved the return of the audience into the arena. So we had the stage, then we had the all standing audience, then we had the green room, and then the seated audience. And I thought that was wonderful because suddenly everything really feels enveloped by music and the performance. The 2 Eurovisions that took place during like COVID measures, it felt really empty without the all standing audience, but it did allow them to have a much bigger stage. The stage this year felt at times really, really small, but I think most of the acts really made it work to their advantage. Also, there wasn't any big feature they had to kind of work their way around. I think was very smart. That way they could make the stage feel very personal to each performer. So that was wonderful. The interval acts were fine for the most part. They're interval acts, so their job is to pass the time while people vote. So that's the bathroom breaks. That's the time where you talk to your friends. You kind of sum up everything. They're there to keep you entertained, but honestly, they are not the main focus of the show, and that's how they should be. I do have a strong issue with all of the cover songs that were done this year. I don't think there was a single good cover, and I'm sorry. I know everybody put their best foot forward and tried to give their all, but not a single one of those covers would, no, sorry. Then we have the postcards. I loved the idea behind the postcards. Again, it was very much a United by Music thing, combining UK and Ukraine, and the addition of the third performer's country I thought was really sweet, like tying it with a theme. So if it was the library in somewhere in the UK, it was the library somewhere in the Ukraine, and a library in, which one was that? Oh, that was specifically Norway. So that was really, really cute. I really liked that. However, because of the short time that a postcard is, things went by really fast, and so you didn't really get to see much, as well as like all of the spinny shots got me super dizzy. That was just a lot. I love how much British humor there was in the show. They took the piss a lot about the cheesiness of the campiness of Eurovision. They had a lot of self-deprecating humor, not in a demeaning mean-spirited way. It was all very, very cute and harmless. There were a lot of cameos of previous acts that were either kind of silly or like on the sillier side. Like there was a cameo of Subwoofer at some point. There was a cameo of they had a British actress do the churning butter from Poland. They had the turkey from Ireland. So that was fun. But they also did like brought some of their less popular British performers back to also have little skits, and they had this whole video dedicating like the rise and fall of the UK versus Ukraine performers in Eurovision, and that was really funny. So I like humor, and self-deprecating humor that is not mean-spirited I think is really nice. Alright, so that wraps up the general notes section. We are moving on to the semi-finals. So generally speaking, semi-final 1 was known as the stronger semi-final. There were several countries that felt like they were guaranteed move to the finals, so that left very few spots to fight over. I think when you look back on it, it was around 8 or so acts out of the 10 slots, so that made things both more tense but also less so, because 80% of the performers you kind of knew were going to pass unless there was like a shocking twist, which without the jury vote, that removes a really big hidden element. At the end of the day, I think there weren't any real shockers for who qualified for the final out of semi-final 1. So let's talk about the 5 countries that did not. First, we have Malta. Personally, I wasn't a big fan of the song to begin with, but their energy is objectively incredible. They seem to have a great time. Personally, I think my biggest issue with their performance was the staging was just too busy. They switched 4 separate stages and also an outfit change in 3 minutes. It's just so much. I didn't know where to look, what to expect, and not in a good way. I can understand why they didn't move up to the finals, but they were definitely not the worst of the evening. Next up, we have Latvia. I think this one may have been the biggest oh no moment of semi-final 1. If I had a say in it, I would have switched Latvia and Switzerland, but obviously I have no say in it. But I thought that their song was beautiful, their performance was better, and I'm not entirely sure why Switzerland was more liked other than pop versus rock, which seems to be a very big theme for this Eurovision, and I'm not particularly happy with the results. So next up we have Ireland, the camel toe scene, and felt around the world. Oof. Look, the song is bad. The song was always bad, and they didn't try to make it better. On top of that, they performed poorly and had very low energy and a pretty bad attitude throughout. They seemed to be fed up with it from the beginning. And it's probably, it's not fun to be considered, low, like a non-qualifier basically from the beginning and receive hate. I know, like to be a performer at Eurovision, you have to have the thickest skin in the world, like dragon hide, because people are mean. And I've been mean, and it's not fair towards the people that work really, really hard. Having said that, these artists have teams behind them, teams of people who should be looking around, taking criticism, and trying to make things better. And I don't think any of that happened here. Now, I'm assuming that part of the bad performance comes from the singer's outfit that was 2 to 3 sizes too small and seemed extremely painful. But yeah, it's very, very interesting when you look at Ireland versus, say, Poland, which I will compare them with later. It's very interesting to see because they're both started from the bottom, and what did they do with that? Next up, we have Azerbaijan. I honestly don't have a lot to say about them. I never liked the song. I never liked the vibe of it. The performance matched what I've had before, so there was no surprise for me. They seem like very nice guys. It was very, very forgettable. I'm sorry. Then we have the Netherlands. Now, this is a song out of my predictions that I did that I thought would actually move to the finals, and instead Moldova made it, which honestly I'm so happy about because I love Moldova. But yeah, I guess most of Europe was with me on that this song was extremely boring, and the whole duet where we pretend we're in love shtick is way too overplayed and done and should not exist anymore, at least for the next few years. The performance was weird. they look nice, but that is definitely not enough. Semifinal 2. So semifinal 2 was a lot more interesting to watch because there were basically hardly any guarantees to the finals. So I think that made things a lot more interesting and exciting. But again, let's talk about those who did not qualify. First, we have Denmark. I actually thought he would qualify, and I thought he would make it pretty high up because apparently I put too much faith in K-pop fans. But I'm glad it didn't. I really dislike the song. I dislike the persona that he brings to the stage. The performance creeped me out, gave me the ick. If we just look at his performance, I don't know why, but first of all, it felt like he started the performance from what looked like a bathroom to me, so that was whatever. And then 70% of the performance was extreme close-up, lots of hearts, obviously, and then he was fuffing with his jacket for no reason, which seemed to be like the curse of semifinal 2, and it just didn't sound particularly great, so I can completely understand why he didn't qualify. Romania. Now, this one didn't qualify, but I hoped it would because I think Theodore is incredibly talented and incredibly artistic. Unfortunately, I can very much see why it didn't qualify, and it's just, this is what happens when you don't have a team to support you, right? We know that he basically supported himself throughout this Eurovision campaign, and the Romanian network allegedly did very little to support him. So I'm gonna go very far back because I kind of want to spend some time with him. I'm sorry if you're don't care, you can skip forward. The national final performance that he gave, I thought was very cute, but like the lingerie clad girls were completely unnecessary. But I liked his look. I liked the Beetlejuice pants. I liked the rocker style, so I was fine with that. He seems to have taken in some criticisms from everyone, but it also seems like he had so many ideas and nobody there to be like, that's great, Theo, choose two. Because there were 12. So first of all, it started with a new rendition of the song where like he started it as an acoustic version, then he switched it back to the original version of the song, and then there was like a lava flowing in the background and these two giant versions of him in white, and it switched to this nightgown clad woman, and at the very end of the song, like he opens his jacket and his dancer just runs to the stage for the final 3 seconds, smears him with like black ink or whatever, and poses. And like, what is going on? What happened? What is all of this supposed symbolism? Because I don't get it. Theo, explain this to me. Because it was so much going on and none of it felt connected and none of it matched visually, like aesthetically speaking. So I can very much understand why it didn't pass. Although I like the song, his voice is amazing. But when it comes to Eurovision, it's just not enough. All right, next up we have Iceland, which is another act that suffered greatly from the jacket issue, and I'm gonna suffer from hat issues throughout this, but yes. Her energy was completely manic and just did not make sense for the song. She was running around, she was jumping, she was on the floor, she was doing flips, she sat down, she stood back up. Somebody should have choreographed her because what is going on? She sounded fine, she is herself cute, the song was never particularly strong, but yeah. Next up is Greece. Jacket issue number 4. And dance floor numbers. I don't even know anymore. He sounded fine. The staging was meh. And his dancing was no. I think it was just he was too young. You know, both him and Theodore, he's 16. Theodore is 18. Like, they're kids. They're actual kids. And so they need a really, really, really strong, well-oiled machine around them, I feel. Unless they're doing a very much like singer-songwriter vibe, at which point, again, an editing team should be in there. And both of them did write and compose their own songs, so I applaud them for that. I really do. They have more talent in one pinky than I have in my entire body. But you need a support system when it comes to such a big produced event. The next one that did not qualify, and the one that seemed like people were the most sad about, is Georgia. Now, personally speaking, this song started really high up for me and just kept going down the more I listened to it. I think the first initial impact with the music video was really strong, but then you're like, the lyrics don't make any sense, and she kind of stays at like an 11 the entire time, even though yes, there are dips in the song, but it just goes 0, 11, 0, 11, and just whiplash every time. Now, her staging wasn't particularly interesting, and so it just got lost in the shuffle, I think. The final act that did not qualify was San Marino, and I think that one people didn't particularly like from the beginning. I did. I thought they were really cute, they had really great energy and just seemed to have a good time, but for whatever reason it wasn't the people's cup of tea, so better luck next time. All right, let's take a quick dance break and then we can dive into the final. All right, welcome back, and we are going to go through all of the grand final performances in the running order. So first up we had Austria and Who the Hell is Edgar? Now, in my prediction, I thought that was going to be number one, but we'll forget about that because I'm an idiot. But I still really love that song, and I really thought it would do better, but honestly, like the staging, something was not correct in it. They should have used the smaller round stage instead of the further rectangular stage for them, because it just felt too big for them, and the use of just like red, white and black felt a little disconnected to the song in a way, which I know sounds weird. They are literally wearing those colors, and they've been wearing those colors this entire time, including in the music video. But I think at the end of the day, the performance was missing the whimsical part or the like campy part of the music video, and so that's unfortunate. Also, them opening the show means people had to remember them after 25 more performances, which is a tall ask. Next we had Portugal with Ai Coração, and this one actually like grew on me more and more. I did not like this song at all at the beginning, but she's really captivating and really cute and just gives her all, and the performance is very fun, so I really enjoyed it. Now I understand more why people are so intent on understanding the running order and why they get upset about running order. Now next up we had Switzerland with Watergun. I never liked the song. I told you I would have preferred Latvia here instead. It was fine. He did the thing. It was okay. Next we have Poland, Blanka Solo. Now this one to me is a fascinating story, because if you look at my top 37, she is dead last. I really disliked her. I disliked the idea of her mostly because like I don't know her, and the song sounded terrible. Now having said that, it's one of the songs that got stuck in my head the most, even though I listened to it the least, so catchiness levels were very high. And that's when I understood that the problem wasn't the song, it was the singer, which I think we all knew that. What I find fascinating is, as opposed to Ireland and even Romania, her team was there to prove everybody wrong, and she came in, I think, with an attitude of I'm gonna prove myself, even though I allegedly received this opportunity unfairly. Allegedly. It was really interesting to see, because if you look at her national final performance, it's a hot mess. It is terrible. She has to go up and down stairs. She has to do this intricate dance. The staging is horrible. She is a terrible singer and she could not keep any sort of breath control. She was out of breath after 2 seconds. She was off key for the majority of it, and it was just terrible. On top of that, her pronunciation of baby became like a meme, and I'm mentioning that because she decided, like I said, that she was gonna take this opportunity that was given to her and try and prove herself. And so not only did she apparently work very hard to improve her singing, she also took all of the memes that were targeted at her and kind of embraced them, and so it became kind of boring to make fun of her, if you will, because she would just take it and own it, and made things very upsetting for bullies. It's a very clever girl there.
Clever girl.
Then we have the performance itself, and that's where I think that editing team really came into play. First of all, the entire staging was very summery and groovy and still kind of like, self-indulgent, whatever. Then you really saw that they honed in and made sure that she had minimal movement for maximum vocals. Her voice is still not great. You can't improve from 0 to 100 in 2 months? But she worked very hard and she was a lot more stable in her voice, and there was a dance break. She wasn't dancing while she was performing. They gave all of the heavy lifting in terms of dances to the backup dancers. Very, very, very smart moves made by the Polish team. So I ended up with not liking the song or the performance, but having a lot of respect for it, because that's how you turn things around. And turn things around they did. They made it pretty high up. It's infuriating. So good for them. Next we had Serbia with Samo mi se spava. And I really love this song, but it just really gets lost in the shuffle. I guess people were not very much into artistic things this year, or like I mentioned previously, the artistic votes were spread much thinner, which is unfortunate, but c'est la vie. Speaking of c'est la vie, let's talk about France. Now, if you didn't guess so far, I was very much rooting for France. Her performance was flawless, her voice was perfect, and I just don't understand. Europe, I don't understand you anymore. I thought I did. But she gave you everything. Everything you could have possibly wanted out of her. There was a giant French flag in the background. She was literally the Eiffel Tower. What more can you ask from a French performance? You didn't like when they did something new and interesting last year, when they went all pagan on you and modern and EDM. No, Europe really wants just Edith Piaf out of France, and that's it. And you want the beret, and you want the hon 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 and oui oui, and she gave you all of that and more. And you gave her nothing back. So, heartbreak for France. Lazara deserved way better, and y'all are mean, okay? That's what I have to say. So next up we have Cyprus with Break a Broken Heart, and that was fine. I have nothing to say about this song, honestly. I never liked it. His performance was fine. Spain, Blanca Paloma and Ea. I didn't like this song at first. I thought it was just a lot of vocal flair, but she is so cute and the performance was beautiful, so she was robbed. Next we have Sweden, Loreen, Tattoo. I don't hate the song. I don't hate Loreen. I thought the song was catchy. The song was good. I thought the performance was beautiful. I think the initial shock of the Panini press wore off very quickly, and it was, at the end of the day, a generic pop song. So that gives you a hint as to what my final thoughts are. But yeah. It's just, there's nothing inherently special about it. It's a good, basic pop song. Moving on, Albania. So Albania with Duye. I was shocked, honestly, qualified for the finals. I did not think it would, but it did. I think the performance was really endearing. She looked beautiful. I loved her outfit. So that was really good staging. Apparently Europe likes it when Albania sticks to Albanian colors. So red and black it is, and that's what we got. Perfectly fine, but it wasn't strong enough compared to everybody else. And at the end of the day, it's also like your entry is compared to all of the other entries. That's how it works, Shira. Yes. So maybe in a weaker year, if you will, they would have been higher. It really depends. It had a lot of things that people like about Eurovision. It was traditional. It was in a native language and all of that. It's familial as well.
I don't have friends. I got family.
This year was very, very strong and very upbeat heavy. Next we have Italy with Due Vite, and that one I was surprised it did as well as it did, honestly. Not because it was bad. I actually really liked the song. I just didn't think it was as loved as it apparently is. Good for him. I liked his glittery shirt. I thought it was cute. He performed beautifully. I hated the staging. What was up with the people jumping up and down in the background and falling to their deaths and coming back up? It should have just been him. Just him. I don't get it. That alone would have dropped this way lower for me. Apparently he was captivating enough. So good for him. Next we had Estonia. Alika with Bridges. She sounded beautiful. She looked gorgeous. I don't understand the artistic choices when it comes to the piano and the hyper focus on the strings of the piano, because it plays itself, so it's not particularly unique. And then her doing stuff with her fingers that require extreme close up on it. very artsy choices. So next up is Finland, Kadia and Cha Cha Cha. Now this one I think breaks everybody's heart because the performance was perfect. He was insane. The audience was in love. They would not shut up, to the point where Hannah, I think, was about to beat up some people during the results. She went into full teacher mode. You could see, like, I will not read these announcements until you quiet down face, you know? He was so loved. He captured Europe's heart, and it was such a catchy, unique, special song. Yes, as an Electric Callboy fan, I can recognize its similarities to them, but in the Eurovision grand scale of things, he was a standout. He was unique. He was unlike anything we've seen before. It was just heartbreaking to see the results happen as they did, and I think that brought up a lot of anger and disappointment from fans. But putting that aside, because we will discuss this later, the performance was incredible. So much fun, so colorful, so bright and unhinged. Like, I realized, like, not only do the dancers smile, like a completely insane smile, but they purposefully have like the mouth gear that makes their teeth even brighter. So it's completely insane. And I love that. It's crazy. So yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. We all know that's worse. Next we have Czechia. So Vesna with My Sister's Crown. I thought the performance was so beautiful, so moving. It was really like truly the best like girl power move. Sisterhood and bonds and love. And like I really love the phrase of like choose love over power. I think it says so much. They have a place in my heart for sure. So I'm really glad they were in this year's Eurovision and that I got to experience that. So thank you. Next we have Australia, so Voyager and Promise. So cool, so fun. They had such great energy and the song is so great. I say so much. But yeah, I loved it. And I'm glad they got as many points as they did. That warmed my heart. To me, it meant that like rock still does have a place in Eurovision and that it should always have a place in Eurovision. Next, we have Belgium, Gustav with Because of You. This one, I never liked. I never liked it. I wasn't particularly fond of him. I do think the performance was a lot better than the national final, and I'm really happy they changed that outfit. He still has a massive hat, good for him. The song for me it's very drag race, and that is fine. It's a genre that should exist, and it's a genre that does exist. It's just not my cup of tea. And it was very like early 90s Pride music, which is fun on its own, but like I don't want it to win Eurovision because we're in 2023 and I do think we should evolve and update our songs and bring something new to the table, a la Kadia. Next we have Armenia, Brunette, Future Lover. I thought she would do so much better than she did. Her performance was great. The use of the projection mapping was really cool. She sounded good, but I guess all of the divas were competing against each other in a very ungirl power way. But that means that the votes for like the one diva gets split. So she got left behind. Next we had Moldova and Pasha Parfeni with Soarele și Luna. Look, I love it. I love pagan things. I love weirdly spiritual, slightly demonic music. I just love it. And the performance was great. I love that the girls had like one horn each, and then together they formed Pasha's horns, and then they formed like a heart, and it was just so much going on with just two horns. But they were great. They gave a good show, and so good for them. Next up we had Ukraine, Tvorchi with Heart of Steel. Honestly, it was completely forgettable for me. They had a good message. You know, they're raising money to save preemies and their hearts, and that's good. But overall, like, the song is kind of completely generic and forgettable to me. I'm sorry. Next we had Norway, so Alessandra with Queen of Kings. From the beginning, I really loved the song. Her voice is great, and I hated the staging. I hate that outfit. Hate is a very strong word, and I don't like using it. So let me just rephrase, but I don't like it. I think there is something not correct in the proportions. I think the cape is kind of too flimsy. I don't like the completely stiff dancing. I don't know. Her voice, as always, was great, and the song is super catchy. Next up, Germany, Lord of the Lost, Blood and Glitter. I want to cry. I am so upset. Their performance was perfect. It was so good. They sounded amazing. The staging was great. They looked like they were having an amazing time. The song has a strong message, and y'all are haters. It's not fair, and it's not okay. And we're gonna go back to this, and I'm gonna be angry about it all over again when we talk about the results. But it's not okay, and they deserved better, and they don't deserve you. They don't deserve us. We let them down. It's not okay. Lithuania was next with Stay. And this song really grew on me. I think it started pretty low for me, and then one, it got stuck in my head, and two, her performance is really beautiful. Again, I love the kind of traditional aesthetic that was going on. It was very soothing and beautiful. Well done for her. I think she did a beautiful job. She was followed up by Israel's very own Noah Kirel with Unicorn, and she turned it out. She did what she had to do, and she's a professional. She did good. Well done, Noah. It was a really strong performance. She got everybody excited about another dance break, and it was really good. Next up we have Slovenia, Joker out with Carpe Diem. They are so freaking cute and so happy and so cheerful. They were so cute. The staging they had, their performance was so jokey in a good way and fun and had really good energy. So well done to them. Next up we had Croatia, Let 3 with Mama Shch, and they did their thing and the crowd loved it, and it was a good time, and it's funny and fun and meaningful and camp and just good. So well done there. And finally we had the UK, Mae Muller with I Wrote a Song, and that one was disappointing because the song is good and the performance was not. There was something completely separate or othered in the image of the song with what we were seeing on stage. I don't know, it just did not line up for me. She did not sound very good, unfortunately, and so I am not entirely surprised with the low score that they got. I think it's really unfortunate, but that one I'm not as upset about as some others. Okay, we talked about all of them. I already whined about a few of them, but let's talk about the results. Okay, so we are in the result stage of the show, and let's talk about those results. We're gonna go from bottom up so I get to get angry all over again. So number 26, the last place, or the first from the bottom, so they're still first in my heart, is Germany, Lord of the Lost, Blood and Glitter, with 18 points. Y'all are vicious. They got 3 points total from the jury, and then 15 from the televotes. It's mean. It's not okay. They gave it their all. They were the best act Germany has sent in years by far. And they were way better than a whole bunch of these other acts. So I'm upset and I'm angry and they deserve better. And I'm not even saying they should have won. And I'm not even saying they should have been top 10. But they should not have been last. And I'm upset and it's going to take me a while to recover from this. So we're just going to move on or else I'm just going to start crying.
Pain.
Number 25 was the UK. It's upsetting when the country that hosts ends up in the bottom, but like I said, I kind of understood why for this one. It's just the performance was not good. It was just not good. She got 24 points total. Number 24 was Serbia, so Luke Black, Samo Misispava. He got 30 points, and I just think that's upsetting. He should have been higher, but the artistic points were split. Next we had, at number 23, Portugal, Mimikat, Ai Coração, with 59 points. She got the second place in the running order. Second place Curse. She got completely forgotten, I think, and that's that. Number 22, Albania. So Albina and her family.
Family.
With Duye. They got 76 points. I think that's pretty good for them. Well, obviously for them. They would have wished to have received more points, obviously, but like in the grand scheme of things, they were not robbed of a higher place, if you will. Number 21, Slovenia. Joker out with Carpe Diem. They got 78 points. I wish they would have gone higher, but there are not that many rock points to spread out apparently, and at least they got some. So yay for them. Switzerland then came into number 20. So Remo Ferrer with Watergun. He got 92 points. Whatever. He should have been way lower. Again, I have nothing against the person. When I say he should have, I'm not trying to attack the person. I'm talking about the performance of the song, my feelings about that. I'm sure he's a wonderful guy, okay? Shockingly, at number 19, which means she's in the top 20, is Poland's Blanka. With Solo, she got 93 points. I think that is shocking. I don't think anybody expected her to be in the semi-final, to move up from the semi-finals to begin with, and then to get a place in the top 20 is upsetting.
Flames on the side of my face.
But I guess people love what they love, and I can bitch and moan all day about it, which is what I'm doing, but I have to let it go.
So let it go.
Next, number 18 is Moldova. So good job for Pasha with Soarele Sinuna. They got 96 points. I think that's a good score for them. They got higher than last year's France, who had a similar pagan song, so props to you. Number 17 is Spain with Blanca Paloma's Ea. She got 100 points, 5 of which, 5 points from the televotes. That's offensive. I mean, at that point, just give 0. I think that's, yeah, I'm not even a fan of the song, and that must have hurt. At number 16, we have France's Lazara, évidemment, with 104 points.
Pain.
There wasn't a single douze point from the jury to France, and I am shocked about it. Like I said, she deserved so much better. She deserved a place in the top 10 for sure. I don't understand what more they wanted from France. Is it just because they're like auto qualifiers? Is that the issue? I don't think it is the issue. I think that's a crutch that we like to use. But, you know, the year that Måneskin won, who are Italy and auto qualify, France came in second, who are auto qualifiers. So it's not necessarily an issue if the performance is great, and the performance was great, so I don't understand what happened. I guess there was a huge cannibal vote known as Sweden that we know, and that just ate all of the votes. That's the only thing I can think of. But yes, number 15, Austria's Thea and Selena. Who the hell is Edgar? They got 120 points. For a time I thought they would win, so obviously what the hell do I know? But I'm surprised it's not in the top 10. I'm kind of bummed out. Because again, we like quirky original songs that have become a royal we. Me, personally, I like unique songs that are interesting and different than what we already have. Number 14, Armenia Brunette Future Lover with 122 points. Looking at the grand scale of things, I think 14 is fine for her. I think the dance break is what brought this down lower. It was not in the original song. It was unnecessary. It felt a bit like a desperate move, and that's unfortunate. Number 13 is Croatia's Let 3 with Mama Sh. They got 123 points, so I like that. It's 1, 2, 3. It's fine. It is what it is. They got a bunch of points and a lot of the votes from the fans. So that's good. So I'm happy for them. Number 12 is Cyprus's Andrew Lambrou with Break a Broken Heart. He got 126 votes. I don't know why. I don't know how. In my opinion, he should have been in the bottom 20, but yes. Number 11 is Lithuania's Monika Linkytė. I honestly never pronounce her last name, but there's a... With the song Stay, she got 127 points. So she's just out of the top 10, but I think that's a good score. She did really well. Good for her. Number 10 is Czechia's Vesna, My Sister's Crown, with 129 points. They made the top 10, so I'm really happy for them, and I wish them all the best. If I remember correctly, they even got 12 points. Did they? I don't think they did. That's wishful thinking, I think. Anyway, they did really well. Good for them. Number 9 is Australia, you guys. At this point, I'm so happy they broke the top 10. It's just, I thought they would be way higher. But so Voyager's Promise, they got 151 points. They did get 12 points from Iceland. Good job, Iceland. They're also like in charge of giving Germany some points. So yes, very good, very good. I'm happy. Good for Australia. I really hope they get to come back next year as well. Number 8, Estonia, Alika with Bridges with 168 points. I'm actually really surprised she's that high up. She got, I think, a lot of points from the jury in like the not 12 or 10 or 8, but overall it just like slowly accumulated, and so she was able to reach that far. Also, if you look at the scores though, they're all very, very, very close together. It's fascinating. Like I'm looking at it it now, and so many, like 2 votes. Switzerland and Poland 92-93, Spain, France 100-104, Austria, Armenia 120-122, Croatia 123. So it's like 1 point, 2 points. It's fascinating when you look at it this way. But anyway, number 7 is Belgium. Gustav's Because of You with 182 points. Shocking to me.
Inconceivable.
I don't know what to do with that, but okay. Ukraine, Tvorchi's Heart of Steel came in number 6 with 243 points. So that's actually a pretty big jump. So they were well, like they received, I think, 12 points. So good for them. Number 5 is the only one I accurately predicted. Norway's Alessandra, King of Queens. She got 268 points. None of them came basically from the jury, which is okay. She got like 200 something points from the televotes. So that's all fan love right there. Good for her. Take over the world, Alessandra. Italy came in number 4. So Marco Mengoni's Due Vite received 350 points. That song was loved by both fans and the jury. So that's really good. I think that's a really good place for Italy. Well done. Shockingly for me, Israel came in number 3. I thought she would make the top 10, but I didn't think she, that high up. Good for her. So Noah Kirill's Unicorn, she got 362 points. She got 12 points. So that's really good. And the rest was, fan votes and all of that. So she did very well, and I wish her all the best. And now we get to the really, really painful point, which is Finland in number 2 and Sweden in number 1. And the reason it's painful is not because Loreen doesn't deserve to be number 1. She had a really strong performance, a really strong song. The issue comes from the fact that the majority of the fan votes went to Finland, like 300 something votes, 370 something. And she got 200 something. But most of her votes come from the jury. And at that point, I think the issue comes with, if you're going to charge people for voting, which they do, almost €1 per vote, those votes better matter. And if it was really frustrating to see. And I think it made probably Loreen feel bad too, when an entire stadium of people is chanting for one person, deafeningly so. Like they were borderline rude and disruptive, yelling Karia and cha-cha-cha, and then him not winning. I think it felt a bit of a betrayal, and the same way that in the semifinals it was 100% fan votes, suddenly having the jury felt like rigging the competition, if you will. So this one I've taken a look on Reddit and on YouTube and stuff to see what people think about it, and it's very interesting to me. So there are cries to just get rid of the jury completely, and I understand those, but I don't think that would be good TV, and that the jury votes end up causing mayhem, and that's part of it, right? That's why they are there. They're not there because the industry professionals know better. They're there because it's a hidden factor that no one can predict. Well, that the audience can't predict, even though the counter argument would be everybody knew that Sweden was going to win. So, there's people on both sides. Another theory I've seen online is the fact that next year is ABBA's 50th anniversary. So having a celebration of ABBA in Sweden during Eurovision felt too good to pass up on, which is why they gave the points to Sweden. It's an interesting theory. I don't know how true it is. I think that takes away from Loreen, which is unfortunate, but I can understand feeling that and wondering. I personally don't think the jury vote should be scrapped entirely. I do think the weight of the jury votes should. So if it was like 25% jury votes, 75% televotes, that would make more sense. Although I can't math, so I don't know how they would calculate that, but I'm sure they know how to do that. And I think that would make more sense, because why is it that like 5 random people from each country that we don't know and are supposed industry professionals are the ones that get to decide 50% of the votes, while 180 million people get to weigh in on the other half? It's the balance structure here it's very skewed, if you will. So that's that. Final thoughts. I think that overall this Eurovision season was fantastic. I think it had a lot of ups and downs. It was a very strong year in terms of songs. I think, like I said, the production was incredible. The performances, for the most part, honestly, were all great. Everyone was on their best behavior, and I hope to see the same kind of excitement and fun next year, wherever it is in Sweden. Yeah. I would love to hear all your thoughts in the comments. Who are you cheering for? Are you as upset as I am about Germany? That's it for this Eurovision season. We'll return to Eurovision content next year. Until then, I'm going back to my regularly scheduled programming, so look out for some movie and TV reviews in the coming weeks. And if you still want some, Eurovision goodness, you can check out either some of my Eurovision videos or check out some German rom-coms. Why not, It's all good fun. Thank you so much for watching, and please like, subscribe, and do all of the happy things, and I'll see you next time. Bye!